Chemaka. I'm from Oxbridge Tutorial College, and I'm here for the Agbajewo series 4, and the theme is Youth Speak-Up.
My name is Chemaka Okike. I am here for the Terra Kulture hosted National Youth Speak-Up. I actually expect a lot from the program. I expect to learn something new.
I'm expecting on how to be able to communicate with my parents and also how to be a better youth.
We know for a fact that youths have the problem of expressing their feelings without sounding disrespectful or rude. But we believe that when we attend this program and we learn from it, we will be able to express ourselves respectfully.
My name is Namdi Ezude. I'm from Oxbridge Tutorial College. Today I'm here to learn from people's experiences and apply what I learned today into my life.
At the end of this program, I expect to be a better person, a more educated person. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leslie. I'm here because of the Youth Speak Up, and I hope to gain lots from the program, ways in which I can help to improve the environment. Thank you.
My name is Olisa, and I'm also here with Lekon for the Youth Talk, and I feel it's going to be good because it's a well-renowned program.
Agbajewo started with a passion to see families be better. Like some of you already know, the convener, Abimbola Shomolu, runs a preschool. And of course, in the process of running her preschool, she gets to speak to parents every day at parent meetings, conferences, and then she has this talk with them. And of course, we all know that we all come from families. Nobody fell from the sky. We all come from different families. And eventually, we make up the society, whether at school, whether at work. And then she was like, okay, it's very important that we get the home right, and in the process we get the society right, focusing on family, the strength of a family, and trying to put everything together, like a consciousness, making us present in it. Because sometimes people just feel like it's the next thing to do. You're out of school, you have a job, then let's go and have marry and born children. Nobody's really consciously thinking about that process of having a family, owning a family, being with the family, and being present with your children. So basically, that's what Agbajewo is. Was my story sweet? All right, so next up, we have Isoke and Doris. And they're going to be performing a piece called Generation Gap. Please, a round of applause for them as they come on stage.
Y'all think you know everything.
Egbami. Y'all.
Yes, y'all as in you all. As in you all walk around here like it's still 1984. Well, it's not. Those days are gone. Y'all need to keep up or kick rocks.
Wallahi, you will not kill me before my time. See your mouth like kick rocks. What have these young people become? You refuse our knowledge. You refuse our wisdom. Even with all your things, iPads, iPhone 10 to 3, you still have no eyes because you are blinded by technology. You say the world is against you, yet you want us to fight it for you. Honestly, this is why no one takes you seriously.
Seriously.
You need to grow up.
You take things too seriously. I mean, seriously, there's this whole world of possibilities that you never see. The world being against us, well, whose fault is it? You're the ones who gave us little to work with.
Let me ask you a question, please. It's not like we are trying to fight, but why sag your pants below your knees? And oh my God, why are your jeans so tight?
Right. You're blinded by the skinny jeans and upbeat jams and funny memes. There's so much more that you just don't see. I just don't get it. I don't get why it's so hard for you to just stay woke.
I don't get how cool is another word for dope.
You don't understand.
Oh, I understand. And I understand much more that I cannot stand what this youth stand for. Listen to me.
No,
listen to me. What have you become? Now you are saying that this, that. What is this about? You have forgotten that we took care of you. You have forgotten that we were there for you all through these years. No, it's not going to happen anymore. Listen, the next time you see us, what you should do is salute, prostrate, bend low and see what we have done. We have paved the way for you right here in the sand, just so you could get to your promised land. Now you are feeling like what? The chosen one. I beg you, what I see while sitting on my seat, you cannot see even from the top of a tree.
Agreed. But let's be honest. I'm at the top of a tree. There'll also be things that you can't see. A bit of trust might help us get back
as we make ends meet
in this generational gap.
This section of the show is basically a panel discussion, and we have been able to gather a diverse group. So the first person I'll be introducing is the director and founder of T Peridot. Please join me in welcoming Toyin Harris. Our next panelist is a 22-year-old, recently graduated from the University of Essex, where she studied criminology. She's passionate about human rights and giving young youths the opportunity to use their voices to stand up for what they believe in. As she stands up, please let's welcome Dolakbo. Our next panelist is a business enthusiast with interest in the event industry. He's highly analytical in thinking, and is motivated to manage people and projects. He's currently the CEO of Open Hands Investment Limited, a lead line investment company, and he's an advocate for non-profit organizations as well. He's married and has 3 grown children. Please join me in welcoming Akin Ario. Our next panelist is a 14-year-old who started his school life in Playhouse Preschool as a toddler and later attended Grange School for his education. He swims, he plays basketball, he loves writing stories, and he does drama scripts, so he's at home at Terra Kulture as well. He's recently found a flair for public speaking. His name is Tolu Alokpe. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage. We also have the creative director of Joko Edu, an accessories line that designs minimal and functional handbags and notepads. She started the brand after being inspired to create a sustainable leather goods line. This is because she believed that Nigeria can be a major fashion player in the world and not simply a consumer of fashion. Please join me in welcoming Joko Tola Phillips. Our final panelist is the co-founder and managing director of Cardinal Stone Partners, a Lagos-based West African-focused asset management firm. He mentors upcoming entrepreneurs, and he just authored his first book, titled Risk and Return, based on his personal experiences as a young adult trying to make life-changing decisions. Please join me in welcoming Yomi Jamibewan. And, I just want to throw the first question to Tolu. Is this something that, we as children really need? Attention, approval, and love? And, why, as well, is this necessary for us as young adults?
They would be important because without attention, you would end up doing more drastic things that will try and get your attention, because it's just a natural thing. Like when you're growing up, especially when you're more insecure, you want someone like in your corner that can tell you, oh, you did well, clap you, like just things that can make you feel happy in a time where you may not be so happy. So if you don't have that, you can end up doing things that can get you in trouble, things that you just stop caring about what gets you in trouble or not, just so you can get that attention, love, or approval. Because in the end, they're all around the same thing of love. And you needing that, it's a natural thing that everyone needs that, regardless of how much they show it or not.
I can see Mr. Yomi nodding, either in approval at the approval part, or so as a parent as well. How often do you show these things, and how do you show them as well?
Well, yes, I'm nodding because I think everybody needs it. Not only children, everybody. More importantly, children, because they still don't know how to express a lot of emotions, and so many times they can't tell you what they need, but they just want it. The problem is different children need it at different levels, and different children take it in different ways. So it's a complex thing, even in trying to give it to children, because you have to be adaptive, right? One child might need many hugs. The other child might not need that many hugs, but when they cry out, they need you to just listen. So I'm not going to say anymore, because I'm sure other people have things to say.
I think you're making a very fair point on the fact that different children need different types of love. But I think sometimes the issue is parents can only parent the way they've been parented. So sometimes they just regurgitate the way they've been parented or the way their parents express love to them. So I think when you say attention, if you study the kind of child that you have, you'll be able to understand the kind of love that they need and that they require.
Well, I think it's true, because your experience will definitely tell on what you will do later in life. Like, we grew up in a house where our parents really loved each other. My father always made tea for my mom in the morning. And there was just so much love in the house. And because of that, when we got married, we essentially showed the same to our spouses. And so children need attention because they want to know that what bothers them bothers you. They want to know that their burden is your burden. And it's really important that we'll show this love to them, because it will give them confidence at the end of the day.
I like what she said, but I have a little bit of a contrarian view in that you show what you learn in your home. I actually think sometimes, depending on your experience, you learn to do something different. We saw our parents loved us, and they showed a lot of passion, but there was good passion and there was bad passion. I think there was a lot about that. When I look at how each of my siblings tries to raise their kids, I can see that we've learned from the bad passion and we've learned to do the good, to reflect the good passion in our communication from one angle. There's the other angle of when you've grown up in a little bit of a challenging situation, maybe you don't take things for granted as much. Maybe you learn to work a little bit harder when things are not going well with your kid, with your spouse. So I think it can also work both ways.
Do you think it's important to express it the same way as you did say as a child?
I think there are different times. I think what we always try to do is we look at what we experience with our parents, and then we look at what our children are experiencing with us.
What's the one parenting act or, show of love that I've just decided that, look, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do this?
I think over time, today we make bold to show our prowess in the things that our parents taught us. We were allowed to learn. But it didn't come easy. I mean, we used to do like a lot of house chores. Growing up, we had more space than what we presently experience. So you had to clean everywhere. My knuckles were black from washing gutters on Saturday. And I used to cuss under my breath that I'm not a slave. We have 3 house helps. And I don't know why I have to be cleaning gutters. My dad was a lawyer, and he had, I think, 16 black shoes for court. He was a magistrate. So on Saturday, there's a system to polishing shoes. And it's a long story. The challenge has always been to know what the time is now, presently. What our parents experiencing, what our children are experiencing, and try to find a middle gap. And so overall, looking back at my growing up years, I think my parents' insistence on doing the right things is what I have, and that's what I boast about, because I say all those things now, but it didn't come to me easy. I didn't enjoy it, but my parents felt these were the right things to do. It comes to different people at different times. Some young people are so mature. Some young people, I've been in homes where like 9-year-olds are taking care of what do you call physically challenged parents? They take care of the house, they make the food, they do everything because they're just very, very organized people. And you see some adults at whatever age and they're still children. So there's no cut-out way. But what we have in common is over time, you realize that this thing is true. It's nice to know how to do things. It's nice to be able to stand on your own. You don't have to lean on parents. You don't have to expect things from parents all the time. You must be knowledgeable. You must know that where I am is the opposition's area. So I don't celebrate when my team scores. You stay seated. Otherwise, if you jump up in the opposition side, you're going to get beat up at halftime. So you must always know. You must know where you are. You must know how to cross the street. Literally, that's what I'm saying. And it applies every time. But the things that you have to do is different. And like what you say, yes, my parents told me, read law, because you always get a job. Read medicine, because you always get a job at their time. But today, it's a different game, because some of the things we have read in 20 years' time might not be viable anymore. Law will be broken down into 4 or 5 components. It won't be you just read one law. So we must be appreciative of that. The knowledge is your power. So if your parents try to impact knowledge on you, you might as well take it.
I was saying you're in a very unique position in the sense that, you've obviously been, a child to parents, loving parents, and you're obviously about to become a parent yourself as well, hopefully. And do parents do a good job of explaining these things, why these things are necessary as well?
So my mom was the one that used to beat us, to be honest. My dad didn't touch us. And I would say she did a very good job in explaining when she did so. Like, let me give you an example. We lived in a flat downstairs. I remember we got a new neighbor. So I decided to be neighborly and go and greet her on behalf of my parents. I think I was like 10 at the time. And then the minute I get back home, my mom was just waiting, like smiling. You know, and I didn't even really get the message. And then the minute I enter, she just starts belting me. I was so confused. I was like, what did I do now? Like, I was trying to be neighborly for you. I've said hi to this woman, so you can follow suit now. And she's like, you had no right. We are the ones that are supposed to go and do that, and then we'll let you know if you can go. So, I mean, anytime she did that, she always explained to us why she was beating us. Obviously, my dad would always try and beg her as well to leave us. But I would say that she did a good job with that, because if you're just beating a child, it doesn't make sense. Did the beating necessarily work? That part I'm not sure. Obviously, I didn't go and visit any neighbor on my own again, so I guess it did work to a particular extent. But would I go or would I adopt the same approach that she used? I'm not so sure. I used to think that I would sometimes, but these days I actually realized that there's some things that could have just been broken down to me and explained to me. Because when she actually then broke down to me why I couldn't have gone to visit that woman on my own, it made sense. Because she's like, we don't know her, we don't know where she's from, you know, what if it wasn't safe? And all of that made sense. Did I need to be beaten to get that message? Maybe not. So I would say that she did a very good job in always trying to explain why she was disciplining me. Yeah.
Are there values that you impart into your children? What are they? Why? And what are usually their reactions to these things as well? So it's 4 parts. I'll just remind you when it's...
Okay, well, the number one value that my family shows to my children, to our children, is Christianity. I mean, God is the first thing. We have to have a relationship with God, and that is what my family is mainly about. Of course, integrity. You have to be a person of integrity, and you have to be able to learn from what we have shown you. I mean, the right things, of course, and obviously I believe that most parents are directing their children and showing them the right thing in life. And so the values we have: integrity, Christianity, respect yourself. And those are the things I tell my children. Always make sure that you respect yourself. Don't let anybody disrespect you. You know, you are very important.
Is it a collaborative process, or you've decided on the values, and whether they like it or not, they are going to take those values?
Well, we try, and we want to inscribe it in them. It is something we want to inscribe in them because we know that it's going to help them in the future, because they are positive values. And so we try and inscribe it. That is how we live, and we expect that they would learn from our examples.
I was going to say that these values are great, but I think we pick up a lot more of what our parents do. So sometimes they might say A, but be doing B. And then you find yourself doing B. But you know, when you're a child, you see them and you're like, oh, mommy and daddy know everything, they figured everything out. But I think when you're now in that position where you might be having a kid soon, you're like, I'm imperfect too, but this little being is going to see you and think that you know everything. But I think when it comes to your parents, they can say one thing, but you're really picking up what they're actually doing. You're really picking up what they're doing, not what they're saying. So if what they're saying doesn't match what they're doing, you're going to end up doing what they're doing.
I was saying that I think that most of the time we forget that our parents also don't have it all figured out, that they're still on the journey in life to, like, now that I'm older, I'm realizing that, okay, my parents don't have everything figured out. They don't know everything.
It was hard getting my parents to listen to me because I thought I was smart and they thought they were smart as well. So is there a way you get them, you know, is there a neutral ground that you go like, look, parents, we're going to discuss this, and, you know, this is how I feel about this?
It's different for like each parent, because my mom is much more like open to conversation, this is that. So I have this thing where most of the time when I want to argue or say something, I say it aggressively without knowing. So people will think, oh, he's just arguing this, that. But then my mom knows, so then she always listens to what I say. But then my dad is a lot like me in the fact that he argues, he is quite smart, and he does not like to be wrong at all, and neither do I. So a simple conversation can turn into a war, an argument, words are thrown, this is that, and it could all start because if I say something that may make sense, but then I say it in a way I sound as if I'm fighting him. So it's something I have to work on also, but then it's something I think a lot of parents have to work on, that listen to the words I'm actually saying, rather than if my voice intonation, the slight increase in pitch of my voice, rather than the actual words that I'm saying. But then it's not like it damages our relationship. I still love my dad. He still loves me.
The two fathers on the panel had this knowing smiles and aggressive head nods as well. So I'm going to say it to them. I would start with, Mr. Yomi and then move on to Mr. Akin as well.
Sometimes I can be reactive. My oldest daughter, she always tries, she pushes the envelope. And almost like trying to be smart, anytime I catch her, I go back at her. But she's actually quite smart, and sometimes she has a point. And one of the things I've learned from my wife, there have been times where when she leaves, Trisha will say, Yomi, did you listen to her? Did you listen to what she was trying to say? And what I'm getting better at is sometimes when she comes with a smart idea that I'm opposed to, sometimes I oppose to it, but then after thinking about it, I go back to have a conversation. Okay, let's talk about it. As young as they are, even the youngest one, 4, I have conversations. I have conversations to hear their points of view. And if I don't agree, I will tell them why I don't agree. And this time, I will tell them when the debate ends, okay, now it is over. But it's taken me time to learn that. And part of it is what someone else said. There's an evolution that we all go through. There's no perfect parent, right? You go through a process. The question is, are you adapting? As you're learning about the characteristics of your child, are you adapting?
Would my son ever come? And I was joking with him one day. I said, listen, this is a condom, and this is how you wear it. And his mom was going crazy, like, why would you want to show your son how to wear a condom? And who's going to teach him? Is it the girl that will teach him how to wear the condom when the time comes? Or is just going to do away with it? Yeah? So, really and truly, I think there's some things that we have to leave to the children to figure out. There's YouTube, there's a lot of things that you can learn on YouTube. But there must be also things that we know. I'm in the event space, and I know so many things. I know about so many drugs. I know about so many things that our children are exposed to. I used to run nightclubs in England, so I still know the owners of those places. So I always get feedback from them to say, hey, what's happening? And there's some new drugs out there now. Which parents know or knows about these new drugs to the extent that you're able to talk to your children about it?
How has technology affected parenting, Mr. Yomi? Has it made it easier? Is it more interesting? Is it harder? Mr. Akin was talking about, people being on their phones most of the time as well.
Well, I think we have some examples already of how technology has affected parenting. I think it's both ways, right? On one hand, technology allows you to give the kids something to occupy them, right? And I have to be honest, sometimes we're guilty of that, right? Whenever we're traveling, we have the iPads, give it to them. Sometimes at home, give it to them. But then, we're also the ones that complain when their friends come around and all they want to do is play on their iPads. So it's a little bit confusing. I think we are still figuring it out, right? The technology allows them to get educated quicker, but there are all these things out there. It's interesting because, again, using examples, and I hope my wife doesn't mind, my wife and I have a different view on this. She's Oyinbo, I am Niger. I remember I was at the office one day, and I saw a Facebook invitation from Meli. Meli was, I think, 7 at the time. Was it Facebook or something? I don't know. She's laughing. But I was petrified. I have 3 daughters. This is my oldest daughter. You know how men are with their daughters, right? And I'm thinking this girl is 8, and her mom is already putting her on social media. I went home, and I was like, Trisha, we need to have a conversation. But then Trisha explained, again, I don't think it was Facebook. It was something about she wanted Meli to be able to communicate with her when she was in certain places. Many of us, when our kids are young, we're early in our careers, we're trying to go out there, we're trying to excel, we're trying to get promoted. So that's the priority. We come home, and our kids want to play with us and we shoo. Our kids want to spend time with us and we remind them how busy what we're doing is. The thing I remember the most was on Sunday mornings, I'll be reading my newspaper and Melly will come and I'll show her. And after I read that book, I changed. I didn't realize that, but I just made the effort to, when I was home, put the BlackBerry away. And when she comes and wants to play, just play with her.
I see positive and negative parts in technology. Every Sunday, we have our fellowship, and then she connects through FaceTime. And so we're still able to do the fellowship together. And I realized that, during this fellowship, when we're done, there is a question and answer. There's a question time where you just say what you feel, what you're going through. And through that, we have been able to learn a lot of things going on in her life. We follow my daughter on Twitter. I follow her, and anytime I see anything strange, I'll call her to order. That, look, this thing, you're not supposed to put this picture there. I don't believe in the fact that, a child is 21, 22, and because of that, you're not parenting anymore. These are the things that we need to be careful about, and it's our assignment to be able to bring them back in the right way. We can't see these things and ignore it and leave it to their friends or other people to show them the right way.
Dolapo, is there anything that, parents should be doing when it comes to mental health with their children as well? Joko, you're going to contribute to this as well.
I think mental health is an issue that culturally Nigeria isn't very educated on as a whole. So it makes it very difficult for the parents to now navigate how they'll be able to see the signs of mental health in a home. Oh, my child's not sleeping, or my child's not doing. Then you'll be able to see some signs, and then you can then have a conversation about it.
But like Dolapo said, the most important thing is to talk to your kids. I have to give it to my mom. She did very well with that. My mom's own self sometimes even extra, let me not lie. Your voice is sounding down. What's the problem? There's no problem. Maybe I just don't feel like talking. But because she had that open, I always say it's so funny. She's the one that beats us, but she's the one who's closer to us today. She really actually gets us to talk. So when you're having a problem, she gets you to open up and talk about it.
Before you leave, I'd just like you to say one sentence or, something that you think either youths or parents should know as well about the times that we live in and, things that I'll start with you, Mrs. Harris, and then we'll just go down as well.
Well, the times we're living in now is very dangerous. And so I want youths to be very circumspective. Make sure that you're learning the right things and, you don't just get engulfed in all the evil that is going around.
My piece of advice for young people is just cut your parents some slack, because when we get to that age, we'll understand that we will then go through the same generation gap as they're going through. And being able to communicate with our children will probably struggle just as much. So I'd say cut them some slack and just talk to them.
Basically, I think it's our vocation to worry. We will always continue to worry. But I think the young people now, they're dealing with issues more. They have more information, either through the phone or through schools or through parents. So the future is bright. We communicate more with our children compared to what our parents did. So we learn from them, and hopefully they learn from us.
Reading books is good, but reading on the internet lets you see so many different views, opinions, what people think, things that I would have never thought of, I've seen on the internet. So, long story short, internet is good. Don't let your children be loners, but not too much internet.
Thank you.
Okay, so what I would say is spend time with your family, like really spend time. And when I say that, I mean like if you're at the dinner table, put your phone away. By the way, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. You will not even bring your phone and put it upside down. I hate that too. So just really try as much as possible to spend time with your family, learn from them. I have a folder on my phone now where when my grandmother says something that sometimes even just a funny story, I write it down. Because I'm like, one day she's going to be gone, and I'm going to remember, her wealth of wisdom. So spend time with your family.
Number one, communicate a lot. Keep an open communication and spend time together. But recognize that a lot of the culture and tradition and standards come from the parents. But what I'm finding is the children are having a lot more information than the parents these days. So listen to each other. The children, and let me not even call it the children, because I just turned 40 and I'm seeing the things that 20-year-olds are doing and 30, like what's going on the internet. Like I'm seeing a new world and I'm like, I'm only 10 years older than these guys. What's going on? I'm feeling old already. So there's so much going on. Don't think you know, because they know more than you. Engage. So that's it.
Thank you very much once again. Thank you very much.
Your person of naturally who you are is suppressed because of those cultural values and those cultural expectations and what they think you should be. So for instance,
one thing that we can all see is that our parents said that you guys must go to school first, and I feel like they said that in the hope of by the time they are done, they would have changed their mind.
Our children are speaking, but we're not listening to them.
Because there are times when my mom has contributed towards a video or brought me my mic or my dad or whoever is coming for a show.
Themselves, but we don't pay attention. How do we decode our children? The world is calling them out there, but they need us to be able to understand them better.
That was a conversation with, thank you. That was a conversation with the group, and we're lucky enough to have Nigerian music royalty as well, Bodge's mother in the house, to share her experience on raising a creative child as well. Please give a warm round of applause to Mrs. Sheka. And joining her would be our convener as well, Ms. Bimbofamilyaffairs.
Good evening, everybody. It was very interesting that I had this lovely interview with the boys. We actually wanted them to come, but unfortunately, TZ was out of town. So he said, look, why don't we do an interview? And I said, brilliant. So they came to Playhouse to do an interview. Mrs. Sheke, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And you just tell us your experience in having a child come to tell you, Mom, I want to go into music.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Sheke Odojuko, and I'm Bodge's mom. He didn't actually tell us that he wanted to go into music. It just happened. When he was in Malvern College in the UK, he wanted to be a footballer, but he wasn't doing well in his studies. So I went to the school and I told them that they should just stop everything football. He was playing music in his room and I said, oh, this is really very nice. Who sang this? He said, Mom, it's me. And he said, the title of the song then was Marry Me. I think that was their first song. And I said, oh, it's very, very nice. And then they did another one. I said, it's very, very nice. I said, but you really have a good voice. This is nice. And that was all. Not knowing that they were very popular on YouTube. I think it was from YouTube that they got known. And in 2011, when we were going to go to Dubai on holiday, he now begged his dad and said, Dad, I don't want to go. Please, can I stay? And behind my back, his dad said he could stay. And I wasn't happy about that. We had to come back from Dubai on the 29th, or was it on the 30th? Because he had a show on the 30th. And his dad wanted to be at that show. So we came back on time for his dad to be on that show. And that was how it started. 2012, I think they had a DRB concert. 2013, 2014, then they went off. This year, they celebrated 10 years together. These children are from very, very good homes. But you see how they are with dreadlocks and all that, you know? It's amazing.
One thing that I took away from all of them was that they have good support. They all said they had good family support. And I think what they mentioned again was that they related well with their parents, especially the mothers. And I also mentioned to them that they are role models, so they have to be careful what they do, how they act, and they should remember that their brand is their parents, the family name. So thank you very much, madam, for your time. Thank you so much.
He kept on telling us that he was going to have dreadlocks and he was going to put earrings in his ears. And his daddy said, you dare not.
you dare not. And so one of these days when we're in the house with some visitors, Balaji just came in. We're in London then, so he came in from Nigeria, and we just saw him arrive in the house with dreadlocks. I looked at my husband, I looked at my friends, and we didn't say anything. Balaji had come home with dreadlocks. The boy said he had a conversation with you, and you dared him. So what we do now is that we try to manage the dreadlocks. He turned 25 last year. He promised that he was going to cut the dreadlocks.
Thank you very much. And he said that he has a fantastic relationship with his dad, and that's what gives him a lot of confidence. So maybe you should find out, maybe behind. Daddy said, go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much as well. We have a dental surgeon, social entrepreneur, pastor, and businessman. He's married and is a father to 4 grown-up children. And his visionary work is to mentor, teach, train, and build leaders that will positively change the world. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ademola Ademuson.
We have some questions from the audience. Some people have written out some questions. Do you have anything to say first before we start?
So good evening, everyone. I think the first thing I'd like to say is to congratulate you. The world, our nation, is in crisis because family is in crisis. Politics won't change the nation, governments won't change the nation, but changing families, restoring back family values will change community, change society, and give us the nation that we desire. So you are on the cutting edge. So I have this question here. It says, how do you communicate with your parents that you don't agree or see things from their perspective? Parents tend to want to enforce their own perspectives, e.g. religion on children. If you allow us to be educated, surely you can allow us to have our own identity. How do you communicate that? Okay, the first thing I would admit is that I think, first of all, I'll give an apology on behalf of my generation. We are the kind of people that do a lot of things we do, even with our lives and our children, not really being ourselves. We just want to be like others. I wonder how many of our children have ever been in a Danfo bus. Have you ever put your child in a Danfo bus? If you have, raise your hands. But you've put them in the London bus, right? Why did you choose not to put them in a Danfo bus? You see where peer pressure drives us? We as parents have made choices that have not reflected the kind of parenting we got. So to answer his question, enforcement is not parenting. Parenting is classical mentoring, coaching. And you don't coach by mouth. You coach by experience and lifestyle. So if you are a football coach, you have to be on the field playing with your footballers. Now, parenting is about the life we live and the examples we are living with our children. It's not just about what we say. It's not about the rules in the house. You want to teach somebody table manners, and you yourself at the table, you don't follow all those table manners. How's it going to work? It's not going to work. So it's a lifestyle, and what you don't have, you cannot give. So it is what you have that you can give. Now, the schools, government, legislations can try to want to help about parenting, but we can't franchise parenting out to those places. They will add values to what we are doing. They will set, correction or more information and bring knowledge into what we're doing. So it is not enforcing a law on your child that is your best parenting role. It is to model that enforcement in such a way that they can learn. I mean, I tell my child, don't put your hand inside the fire, and I make it a law. Do you know what a child would like to do when I'm not around? It's going to put the hand in the fire. But the fire will burn that child, and by experience, that child is going to learn a lesson forever. When we were growing up, we pushed our daddy's cars out of the house to steal to parties. Did you do that? I want to tell you something. People think times are worse now. But I want to bet you, your children have not done half of the things you did. Do I have any? I remember the first time I tried to drag on Igbo weed. If you tell my parents today that I came close to it, they will say, God forbid. To Fiakba, I never did. I was 13 years old, Form 3, Government College Ibadan. Experience, they say, is what? Is the best teacher. So what we have been doing, and that's why I apologize, is we have been living out our fears in the lives of our children. So we conscript them, we curtail them. I mean, what's the point? Your child is out there at the nightclub and you refuse to sleep. But if I have experience that can teach you that what you're about to do has grave consequences as a parent, I need to share those experiences with you to guide your choices. But at the end of the day, I must still believe that my child will make a choice. And because I don't control their choices, my best recourse is what Madam just said. We are going to take your case to the Lord in prayer, and we will not stop praying for you guys.
I'm going to take the next question. Why don't parents believe or listen to their children because they feel they are older than their children? I mean, you've answered the question. We feel we're older, that's why we don't listen. But that's why we're having this talk, that we need to listen now. I'm sure if the person that wrote this questions, mom is here or dad is here or they're not here, you're going to go back and tell them what you've heard today. We don't have it all figured out. We're learning on the job. There's no manuscript to parenting. And like the people on the panel said that this is a new age, this is a new time where we need to also listen. In those days, it was what our parents said, that was law and order, but not anymore.
Okay, what will you do if your child were gay? And I think this...
if your child?
Were gay.
Okay.
And this also follows with the...
Same question.
What will you do if your child is struggling with their sexuality? So it's one and the same question. It's one of the most difficult challenges of parenting now. But it's not a new problem. I remember when we got to government college, we did house introduction, school introduction. Some nice guys there called us to the side and said, look, I'll say it in Yoruba, what they were warning us of is this: look, there's going to be some homosexual activity here. You have to be careful that these senior guys don't get you into that stuff. Thank God for that warning. Thank God for that exposure. Now, if you are supposed to use the two males together, how does it work? So you begin to figure out, let me find something that resembles what I could have naturally used. So you now look for an abnormal cavity. And that cavity was never, in fact, it's a dirty cavity anyway, it wasn't meant for that. And vice versa. So the truth of this is this: being gay, being homosexual is an abnormality, but it's a problem. So if my child had that problem, I cannot legislate it off, I cannot beat him off out of it, I need to get him to know the truth. When you know the truth has the power to set you free.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ife. I appreciate your take. Hello. But I feel like you didn't really answer the question. You gave your views on homosexuality, but you didn't answer the question, what would you actually do? Like, how would you respond as a parent if your child were gay? I'd like to hear your view. Thanks.
All right. I think I tried to say that at the end of the day. If I discover that we have a very big issue on our hands, the first thing my child is going to find from me is I would let him know and see my love for him or her. The second thing I'm going to try to do is to bring him or her to the knowledge. And first of all, I will let her hear or him hear my perspective on it. And that I'm deliberately working to convince him or her about the veracity of my facts. And so it will be a work that we're going to share together in love, not in condemnation, in love. And I believe at the end of the day, because you see, the truth cannot become the untruth. The truth is the truth. It's not, I've seen people that started gay but have come back normal. And if you talk to them about the experience, it was because they just had no understanding.
The final question. Wondering how intrusive we can be relating to internet usage and their business. I'm not very clear, but what I can... You should have a purpose for social media. Get everything you need to do together before you go out to the world about your message, your product, your service. Now, basically, some people go on social media for different reasons, and I just wonder, my bag, I'm in the store, I'm wearing a Gucci, I'm doing this. What is the essence or relevance of that? So I think that if you want to go into social media or you want to use the internet for different reasons, like Tolu Alopo said, use it to acquire knowledge. Use it to sell your product, your service, or your message. But don't tell the world about so many things you are about to do that you haven't birthed, but you're already letting people that have nothing to do about your life to be in your space. So handle that with a lot of caution. Social media is not your friend. It's a tool to be used to kind of birth the message that you have to share with the world. Thank you.
How much intrusive as parents can we be in the life of the internet and social media as a whole?
So I think when you ask how intrusive, I don't think there's like a scale to say it. But if it's to the point where every time your child does something, you're analyzing for, oh, did they curse? Are they showing 0.3 millimeters of their stomach? You're being a bit too intrusive. Like, I'm 14. Nobody in our house swears. But if you're checking your child online, you will see some fancy words. I don't swear online either, but like, you have to understand that the person that you see when you talk to your child is not the person that you see when they talk to their friend or the person that you see when they talk to they're one person, but you see different aspects. So if you can be intrusive, but don't try and make them be the person that they are when they're talking to you, when they're talking to everyone else, because they'll feel kind of shut down. They can't be themselves and have that experience that everyone else has on social media. So, but still check their social media so that we don't go astray, but not too much.
I think abnormality in human species is common. The child comes out paralyzed, the child comes out blind, deaf. They're all abnormalities. But an abnormality must be known to be abnormality. So if you want to stay, so the way you manage an abnormal child and support that child with love, you can. But it doesn't make it the fact. If there was a chance to turn a deaf child and heal that child, or a blind child and get him sight, that is the way to go. And that's the point I make, that look, they have an issue, We're not denying the sexuality. We love them. We want to work with them. But our duty as parents is to see how we can get them into the truth.
On that note, we want to say thank you, Doctor, for your time. We really appreciate this. We look forward to more of this with you because we share in your wealth of experience. Thank you, sir. We've come to the end of the program, and we really appreciate everything that everybody has done here today. But there's a message before I give the vote of thanks, there's a message I want to share with us parents and also the youth. Please watch for just a few minutes.
It's all the way from here.
Yeah. 7.
Oh no, 0's all the way over. How do I restart? Alright.
7. Then just fill it a little bit.
Maybe.
8. Then 7.
Yeah, 7. Another 0.
Or do you go all the way around back here? Wait.
Dude, that makes sense.
Wait. Yeah, we got it. Okay. All the way around. Like how? 8. 7. Another 0, all the way around. 3. Oh baby. 8. 5. 0. All the way around.
Okay, so I'll give you a hint. Your 0 is correct. Every other way you're doing it is incorrect. Is that correct in saying that?
Yeah. So you don't stop at this. Oh, this the last one? Because look.
You just successfully dialed 0.
No. Stop. Okay. So.
Wait. So when you go like this, they said that was right.
Kyle, move to your right a little bit, please.
I don't like that.
So.
Sorry.
So if this was 0, then.
Wait.
Does the second
Look, one?
one?
Watch out.
Does the second
Is
one
this
be
correct?
0?
Bring it all the way around and then like. Bruh.
Wait, look. That's 0, so that's one ahead. What if you went just.
You guys have made this all worth it.
Everyone has struggled like you guys.
Yeah, everybody
Yes.
has.
Think of different.
Wait a minute.
Think of different.
We have to pick up the phone and then do it?
Put the phone to your ear. What do you hear? What does that sound like? Okay, that's a start.
Alright, watch out.
Incorrect. Correct for a 0.
What does the 0 sound like? What does the 0 sound like?
It just goes and ends it. Okay.
You have 1 minute left.
So, if the 0 is correct, what are you doing with the 0?
You guys are doing great because you're talking through it and you're working through it.
Yeah, we're also came in last place, so.
We went all the way over here. I think we have to go all the way around. All the way around. Stop there.
What's with all the holes, though?
It's a great question. It is. Kyle?
We are so done.
No, you're not. You
Nope,
nailed
Kyle just
it.
figured it out. 25 seconds.
Tell me the numbers.
708, 703. Where are you at right now?
7.
Oh.
0.
8500.
Hurry up.
8500. 8500.
10. We're done.
Oh, you did it?
Yeah, no, I didn't. It just. There's 5 seconds to do it.
0.
You would have done it.
0. We did it.
You used that phone a few years ago. Please raise up your hand. Fantastic. If you never, many years ago, if you never used that phone, raise up your hand. Fantastic. See where the problem lies? You cannot understand us and we cannot understand you. We're from a different era. Something as basic to us is strange to you. That's why we have to get into your space. Allow you to be in your space, but get into your space. That's the problem we as parents are facing actually now. They don't understand us. They cannot comprehend where we're coming from because we are archaic to them. Now, those two boys, they're just 17. So you can imagine the number of people in your own home as your children that they're struggling for you to, both of you, to communicate and connect. That's what is happening right now. And that's why we have to understand them. And let me tell you something very, very profound. If you had given those two boys their phone, what would have been the next thing they would do? Google it. They're going to Google it. They're going to find out how to use that phone within a second. They did not have their phone. That's why they were thinking as adults. We sit down, we look at it, we analyze, we look at the pros and the cons. But these ones, they don't have time for that. They go there, pam, 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 and they do what they need to do. So that is the problem we're facing right now. And guess what? We have to understand them. So in short, whatever you do, children, it's a reflection of your foundation, of your family. You have to think before you take any decision. You have to remember which home you're coming from, what you're doing, what you stand for. Very important. This is the time I'm going to say thank you to everybody. But before I start with everybody, I just want to say thank you to God. You know, we're all priests, whether you're Muslim or Christian. We all have a message. It's not the accolades, it's not the awards that makes us, it's the impacts we make. And I want to thank my life partner, my mentor, my Oga at the top, the people that supported with other things also. Alera Onosode, thank you. Tinu Kuti, thank you very much. Shola Odukamaya, thank you very much. Taya Igbusi, thank you very much. If I didn't remember you, that would be very, very bad, but thank you very much. We're going to do more of this. Please stay tuned. Continue to do what you need to do as parents. We just need to get into our children's space, but allow them to have their space. Thank you very much for your time. You just all have a wonderful 2019. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
I think today's event was very worthwhile. I'm glad I came. Yes, there is indeed a gap between communication in most homes. But the more parents come and listen to talks like this, the more it would help us to understand our children better and to be able to relate to them. I mean, they're very different from the way we were brought up.
Excellent. It's not just an event. I believe that it's a movement. Nigeria is yearning for change. This is where the real change is. Change is not going to be in politics, it's not going to be in governance, it's not going to be until the people change. The only place to change the people is through the families. So she's doing a great work. Agban, Jowo, it's awesome. And God is going to use it. And if this continues and many more of this, Nigeria can remain the same if the lessons are learned.
Oh, they did say a lot of stuff. I really wished my mom had been there so that she could have understood the points more. So now I can go home and explain to her how our generation is and how, yes, it's good to listen, but it's also good to understand at the same time. So that's something I've taken back, and it's also good to take some time off technology and go and socialize with your family.
I think I enjoyed them a lot, and they were they would be very helpful because they brought to light a lot of matters that in a lot of families and in a lot of Nigerian culture is ignored or put to the side, like the question about homosexuality and things like that. And I think that it just helped to educate a lot of people. I learned some things I didn't know before. Some of the other older panelists told me, I told them some things they had not learned before. So I enjoyed it a lot, and it was a new experience, so it was fun.
My name is Abimbola Shomolu. I'm the convener of Bimbofamilyaffairs. I said in 2015, after my mom passed, I realized that, you don't appreciate people until they go. My mom was a strong pillar in our home. She held the family together against all odds. And I just thought I need to do things to keep this family together. Very interesting. When you have life, your family comes with you. And when you die, your family comes around you. But between life and death, there's a lot of happenings in the families. I just thought, what will I do to just try and kind of remember my mom and be able to do something in the lives of families to keep us together. Youth are just going different tangents from their parents. And if we don't have a wake-up call to know that these children are our children, and if you don't do anything about their life and their lifestyle, we're going to lose them. And that's why I just thought this is the time. Beginning of the year, let's even try to put our priorities right, basically. I mean, there is a absolute distraction. Like I said during the program, if you use your social media, use it productively for your message, for your product, for your service. You know, when you wake up, it's the phone or your laptop or your emails or something. It's just a mind thing. You get sucked into it, where you're going, where you're coming from. It's a big distraction, and we have to limit the use of social media so that we can have connections with our children and connections with each other. Be able to hear the children out and let them know that we are listening. We want to be part of their life. We want to do something about this generational gap because we don't understand what is happening. So finding ways to bridge the gap is by talking and asking questions. Then we have to learn and relearn and unlearn some things.